Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. So I've decided to bite the bullet and try the camera settings that all the pros are using. What's that I hear you say? Justin, Stormcat Birds, you're not a pro? I know, it's hard to imagine, isn't it? But I've been going manual for the last 2 or 3 years, fully manual. I control all of the settings, aperture, shutter speed and ISO. I don't like the camera making any decisions for me and getting the exposure wrong, especially with all the different birds, dark birds, very white birds, and ones in between. And I don't believe the camera can handle that, especially when they fly and the sky being bright, blue, overcast, whatever. So I like to control as much as possible. But after a little incident last week, when I got a barn owl come out of nowhere and it flew from a tree line in shadow into the sun, and I blew a lot of the pictures, I blew the highlights. I thought I must at least give it a try and learn to use it, or at least have it in my arsenal if it calls for it. I sort of knew the barn owl might come out because I knew where it was coming from, and if I'd have had the auto ISO, I might have been able to at least avoid it, because I don't generally shoot white birds very often. When I've shot the little egret, I can expose for those because they're going to be in the one area. I can get my settings right, my manual settings. But what we're going to do is we're going to start now. I've just set it all up, set it for custom function 3, so it's locked in with a shutter speed of 4,000 minimum to freeze the wings of any small bird flying, and then anything bigger than that is covered. At the moment, I don't like what I'm seeing in the viewfinder. I've pointed it at some random objects like trees, buildings, signs, and it seems to be underexposing a lot. And that's not a good sign. But I've got to give it a try. Maybe it's just a minor setting I've got wrong. I'm going for evaluative metering, which is the suggestion. Now, my camera was set at that anyway, but I don't use it because I've been manual all this time. But it's there. That's what we're going for. That's what they suggest. I've played with spot metering before, and it doesn't seem to register the small object that you're focused on. It seems to still take the metering from around all the buildings, the skies, the trees, etc. So why have I resisted for so long? Well, they say the pros use this method, this setting, and the pros generally have full frame cameras, and full frame cameras handle ISO much better. So if their camera is giving them 8,000 ISO, it handles it as well as maybe ISO 4000 on my Canon R7, which is an APS-C sensor, the smaller sensor. The pixels are closer together, it causes more noise at higher ISOs. So it's okay for the pros to use it because they can get away with more, they have a lot more leeway. But anyway, we're just going to fire it off at random birds. It might even just be wood pigeons and magpies, but I want to see how it handles it. It might be that when I tried it earlier, I was in shade. At the moment, the sun is out, and that might help. I might have to go fully manual in darker conditions, but all I can do is get on with it and see if it's for me, because not every setting works for every photographer. I hear a lot about the back button focus, that photographers can't work without it ever since learning how to use it. I still haven't got my head around it. I don't find it useful. It's just not my thing. Some people do, some people don't. Anyway, I'm going to get on with it and I'll show you the results later. So far, had a little play with it. First thing I did was a wood pigeon was going over in harsh shadow and the sky was quite bright, and it didn't handle it well at all. That was a big letdown. Yeah, maybe you're saying you should try the spot metering. Okay, well, that's another setting I would have to bounce back and forth with. Next up, a flock of goldfinch, and I just kind of pointed it and fired it at them. Now, when they were low down and sort of exposed at the same rate as the background, the fence, the bushes, it handled it pretty well. I mean, I got flight shots there because I was at 1/4000th of a second, wings out. Very high ISO. I think I was 6400. I'll have to see how I clean that up. I'll show you the before and after, how much sharper I can get it, and noise removal. Then came down to the path here along the protected area, and there was a grey heron on the ground here. Now, normally my settings would be for flight shots in the air, for things taking off. This was low down. In the past, I would never have been able to get the settings quick enough to get a bird taking off. And I got it. It had to ramp it up to 6400 ISO. I'm not going to change any of the lighting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what it looked like, and you might say, can't you brighten it up? Well, what I will say, is that to lighting conditions? That is what it looks like right now. I think I've underexposed my phone camera to make sure that generally it doesn't overexpose when I step into the sun. So these are the conditions that you're looking at. And I'm going to leave the grey heron. You can see in the distance the sun behind it is lighting up by the river. So that's pretty much nailed it. The exposure is perfect. I'm quite excited about that. I definitely think I'll use it more. I've got to do a lot more experimenting, and I'll keep it in my arsenal for sure. But what I'm imagining at the moment, especially with that wood pigeon, is that I will have to manually expose for sky shots, for things appearing. So I might have to save it in like custom function 1 for things that appear suddenly, and then do all my general stuff in one of the other ones, custom function 3, which is what I have my settings for the moment. At the moment, that's manual, 1/4000th of a second, first curtain, the largest aperture I can get, which most of the time on the 800mm is f9, and the ISO, which I generally set manually, but now I'm going to try with the auto. So we're in experimentation stage. So far, something to consider. Right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the ultimate testing area, the outflow at Crossness. You've got the cormorants, blackbirds, very black. You've got the little egrets and black-headed gulls. Excellent. If you're going to get a test, this is the place, because you're going to need underexposure for the white birds and overexposure for the dark birds. Now, all the photos you're going to see, I'm not going to mess with anything on their exposures when I show you the photos. This is what I'm seeing now. I've tried to adjust the phone, the camera, to what I'm seeing, because you might say, wait a minute, it's a bit dark, why don't you up it? Well, I'm only showing you what the exposure levels are like. If you up the exposure in post, you're going to get some noise, but this is what I'm seeing. Unfortunately, as photographers, we can't just get good photos whenever we go out. We have to deal with the lighting conditions. Right now, we're an hour from sunset. The sun is behind a cloud over there. I'm having to just accept the lighting conditions, but this is excellent practice. Right, I'm showing you this now. The egrets, the little egrets just had a scuffle. Now, I could see there was a bit of, oh, that's an interesting angle. Hold on, let me get through these. So one of them, there was one that was excellent where the legs were kind of locked over each other's heads, but one bird was in focus and one was slightly out, but that's nothing you can do about that. But that was a really good reaction. If I was set for, say, cormorants before, I wouldn't have got that. I'm just seeing why this little egret looks like it's coughing up something. I'll zoom back a bit, because if these egrets start fighting again, I want to catch it. Yeah, okay, it's really good, I'll admit. I'm going to be using it a lot more. Now, back there, obviously, where I took the bird against the sky, and with no light on the bird, it struggles. Now, normally, those pictures wouldn't be keepers anyway, because if you do expose to the bird, you've got to lose the sky. It's just going to be overexposed, and you've just got to accept it. So when you do that, it's going to be for record purposes, ID purposes, things like that. But for this, I am definitely going to, nope, you didn't fight. There's a little bit of argy-bargy going on down there for the dominant position. They've managed to get rid of the grey heron, and now the 4 little egrets, which the grey heron was shooing away, have now claimed the spots. Sorry about the flights again, as usual. Whenever I come here, they come by every few minutes. But I'm running the photos over. I'll give you the settings of what it's chosen to do. Now, with the cormorants, obviously, it's going to be up at the 6400 ISO. And reminder, I'm not adjusting any of the exposure. This is exactly how it was lit. The little egrets, what were they just then? Oh, they're 6400 as well. I'm just going back through. When I took some pictures of the grey heron, that was 6400, even in good lighting. And the cormorants is it. But so yeah, it's going at about 6400 ISO with 3200 shutter speed. I don't need anything faster than that. There are no small birds here at the moment. If it was better lighting and the pied wagtails, which I can hear, or the grey wagtails come out and then fly around, I'll try and capture them with the dot sight, which I can do. But the black cormorants, which are capturing fish, I've just been catching them flying, but when they go for a fish, that's when I use the dot sight. So you've seen them with a couple of small eels. I'm trying to catch them with anything big. Now that would have been a bit of a pain in the past because I would have been constantly adjusting the manual back and forth, manual settings, for when a little bit of light comes out or a little bit of cloud comes out. But yeah, I'm sold. I am sold so far. There's going to be a bit of playing with birds in flight, but I've tried it with lots of different black-headed gulls. I tried it with some the difficult ones, which are the shell ducks, common shell ducks, which have got those big chunky black bits and big chunky white bits, which always are hard to expose for properly. The camera is going to struggle with that, but I did I'm not going to show you them. They're exposed well, but they were distant. I just threw the camera on them quickly. But yeah, I'm sold. I'll come back to you maybe in a month or so when I've done another roundup and I'm happy with what I've got. What are you doing? You've got a little eel? Nope, it's really dark now. What are you saying? You're 6400 ISO still. Wait a minute, are you? Right, okay, I can see what's going on. I've restricted it to 6400. I was wondering why it was so dark. Now, what have I done? So I'm gonna have to go into settings and find out what's going on there. If I take too long, I'll cut this out. So yeah, I've just gone into the ISO speed settings and the auto range, I've limited it to 100 to 6400. So that's the reason. Let's go down and change that. Minimum, maximum, can we go higher than that? Yes, we can. Whoa, 12,800. Okay, I'll save that in my custom function, just in case I change dials and it goes to something else. Now, what does that look like? Right, yeah, there's parts of this frame that's even too dark for 12,800. Yeah, now it's going on to the little egrets and it's 10,000 ISO. So even though they're really bright birds, yeah, it's getting to the point now, there's no point in taking any more photos. So that's interesting. Yeah, that's another setting. There'll probably be something else I come up against or come across and then like, I've got to change something else. This is going to be a new learning process. But as of today, we have a new setting. We've reached pro status. I'm now officially amateur pro, low-level pro. Okay, I hope you give it a try. If you don't use this method, full manual mode with auto ISO.